I mean, structural reforms no cry wahi, be en kono or something. But miensa how pa ne energy sector. Senior be ECG for be collect sika SS one collecting na IPPs power producers and also ye negotiations and be ya cano be bafom. Indian one, the other one I how no adie te sɛ nipa kɔ sign contracts na sika ɛbɛba ɛde atua no ɛnyɛ enough so that you have arrears accumulation ɛno no yɛpɛ sɛ yɛgyae ne nyinaa nti sɛ wontumi kyerɛ me sɛnea sika no bɛboa ɛne yɛnyɛ biom. So those are two was a cocoa sector no so when you say some bond restructuring on the 15.5 billion into no juma and no you can't say beer cocoa for nothing there on cocoa and one jai road works in adeno for starters and I feel so your name Ministry of Agriculture Finance and one so send normal no yatenetene no kakra and I feel so senior cocoa prices kono yenhwe senior yebeye price no to the farmers senior sebi prices no kofomwa na yenso nsesi etua as much as we can but I think the real challenge say how do you add value to the product so that you can continue to pay farmers well. Because the value added part, because the young share any into an also be here.
Thank you. SO is state
was the state owned agencies, SSC gahwe 1 year. Because now the BBA 1 year about general government finances into borrowings and management and governance issues, as I say, cost. Nothing so, escalate privatizations, so never any government books will be built. I think in here pa ne say yɛbɛwɔ gyidi wɔ yɛn mu na afei journalism so sɛbe callings ne adeɛ a ɛmfata no na yɛtumi gyae because yɛn history no it's a history of a lot of achievement and a few people to me bring us down ɛmfata na yɛnyɛ adwuma sɛbe wokɔ adwuma a 8 hours no na we a teacher absenteeism no ɛmfata necessarily also into no say be responsible citizens na nyonya media man no so adanase na yeshira so.
Thank you.
I just returned from the preliminary sessions of the Afri-Exim Bank annual general meeting taking place at the conference center in Accra. This is just a year after we hosted the African Development Bank's annual general meeting. Truly, the enthusiasm there just indicates that Ghana continues to enjoy global attention as an example of our economic renaissance and considerable goodwill from our African brothers and sisters. There have been significant developments since I went to Parliament in November 2022, engaged you in December 2022, and then the approval of the IMF facility May 17th. Subsequent to these and the conclusion of the IMF mission last week, I'll today share with you an update on the economy. More importantly, I also discuss the details of the program of work to return our economy to the path of strong sustainability and growth and provide more opportunities for our people. Ladies and gentlemen, Wednesday, 17th May 2023 is indeed a day to be memorialized. On that day, Ghana secured approval for a $3 billion three-year standard credit facility from the board of the International Monetary Fund to support the implementation of Ghana's post-COVID-19 Program for Economic Growth, PCPEG. As was the case in many other emerging market economies devastated by rising debt, worsening financing conditions, high inflation, deteriorating exchange rate, and balance of payment pressures, Ghana sought IMF assistance to support our PCPEG. The implementation of the PCPEG aims to restore macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability and to support inclusive growth while protecting the vulnerable. It is also aimed at building resilience and promote efficiency and competitiveness through wide-ranging and strong structural reforms in key sectors of the economy. We also sought to leverage the catalytic effect an IMF program would offer in terms of accessing additional financing and building confidence. Our decision to seek support was in the context that I envisioned path to rapid economic recovery with a remarkable economic growth rate of 5.1% in 2021 against 0.5% in 2020 had suddenly been halted, requiring us to seek support to enable our people to safely cross the Jordan to our promised land. Ladies and gentlemen, between the announcement, engagements, agreements, approval, and disbursement of the first tranche of $604 million on Friday, 19th May 2023, under the ECF was a 10-month period, 1st July 2022 to 19th May 2023, a record time by all standards. Many were surprised when I announced that we were on the cusp of a breakthrough agreement while presenting the 2023 budget statement on Thursday, 17th November 2022. I believed then that we were making remarkable progress towards securing an SLA. The pace of our progress had been underpinned by the unity of purpose by the executive and the ministry, shared focus, diligence, strong collaboration, and of course, the abiding and abundant grace of God. The progress is anchored on the pursuit of planned but sacrificial interventions, including the domestic debt exchange program, to enable us effectively manage the rising cost of debt and create fiscal space for growth-enhancing reforms. As a nation, we need to be proud of what May 17 signals and what we have been able to achieve against all odds and in a turbulent global environment. Our $3 billion support is 3 times our quota and the largest allocation from the Poverty Reduction and Growth Trust, PRGT. We front-loaded within 6 months $1.2 billion of the $3 billion facility, of which $604 million was disbursed within 3 days of approval. Let us also not forget the uncertainties of the G20 Common Framework for Debt Treatment and the role of the Paris Club and China's agreement to co-chair the Official Creditor Committee, and no support from India, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey to deliver financing assurances to the IMF board on May 12. For us in Ghana, we successfully navigated a difficult domestic debt exchange program with steadfastness. My gratitude to the individuals in banking, insurance, and capital market sectors for their resolve and the strong intercessory prayers by our faith-based organizations. So, fellow Ghanaians, as in Psalm 118, let us indeed give thanks to the Lord for his good, for this is the Lord's doing, and it is for us marvelous in our eyes. Also, on behalf of His Excellency President Akufo-Addo and the entire government, I would like to express profound appreciation once again to our fellow Ghanaians, especially those who voluntarily and overwhelmingly participated in the debt exchange program, allowing us to achieve an 85% success rate by 14 February 2023 and sacrificing for economic recovery and reform of the Republic. The Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members of Parliament for their support especially in approving key revenue measures on 31st March 2023 to enable us to fulfill a key prior action relating to our program with the IMF. Our development partners, especially our bilateral partners, for their financing assurances delivered on Friday, 12 May 2023, which was pivotal in securing IMF board approval. You, our friends in the media, who have kept our people well informed of the process and sustained their hopes despite the misinformation from certain quarters of your fraternity. We are a resilient people as Ghanaians, a people of destiny, and we shall prevail in all things because the Lord is on our side and the battle is the Lord's. I also like to express profound gratitude to the IMF Managing Director, Kristalina Georgieva, for her unwavering support and belief in our ambitious reform agenda. To Abebe Selassie and especially the IMF Mission Chief, Stephanie Roder, and the team for their tireless efforts and constructive dialogue with government. My sincere thanks also go to the gallant men and women of the technical teams at the Ministry of Finance and Bank of Ghana who worked so hard throughout the period. And thanks to your support, partnership, and forbearance in these key processes, coupled with the implementation of the front-loaded fiscal adjustment outlined in the 2023 budget, as well as other government interventions, we are already seeing positive outcomes. The United States, through the International Development Finance Corporation, within 3 days of the fund approval, announced a program to invest $300 million to establish the Ghana Data Center under the G7 Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment. This is very significant as it illustrates the confidence that is being restored and the focus on the private sector growth agenda that we'll be pursuing to transition our economy. On the domestic front, as we speak, inflation has accelerated to 42.2% for the month of May 2023, down from 54.1% at the end of December 2022. The May inflation represents a 1% increase over the April 23 inflation of 41.2%. The May inflation was largely driven by food inflation of 51.8%, up from 48.7% in April, with non-food inflation decelerating to 34.6% from 35.4% in April. The relative rise in inflation in May 2023 appears to reflect the pass-through effect of the utility price adjustment in April and the implementation of the new tax handles in May. We expect inflation to decelerate going forward. The cedi's depreciation has largely stabilized with a year-to-date depreciation rate of about 21.9% as of February 16, 2023, down from 50% in December 2023. The 91-day T-bill rate has declined to 20.6%, down from 35.5% at the end of 2022. Gross international reserves has improved after the disbursement of the first tranche of $604 million US dollars following the approval of the IMF program. The current account balance turned positive at 0.9% of GDP at the end of March 2023 from minus 2.2% at the end of December 2022. In addition, the trade balance improved from 0.9% of GDP at the end of January 2023 to 2.2% at the end of April 2023. And recent GDP statistics released by the Ghana Statistical Service in April 2022 show that real growth ended 2022 at 3.1%, which was higher than growth projections by most international organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an ambitious agenda for reform. Let me state clearly that securing the IMF program is not an end to our current challenges, though it has significantly paved the way for the implementation of an ambitious and well thought out program of reform for our economy and country. In fact, the real work of adjustment, realignment, and the return to a path of steady economic growth has just begun. Let us brace ourselves for the needed reforms, especially